Hi viewers, welcome to Let's Learn Language and Life Skill channel. Today let's see Ben Jonson's important work Everyman in his Humour. Let's get into the video. Benjamin Jonson, this is the full name of Ben Jonson, and he was born in 1572 and died in 1637. His first appearance on the stage was as an actor, then he developed himself into playwriter. And he was imprisoned for his share in a satiric comedy. Actually, this comedy, The Isle of Dogs, was a collaborative work. He wrote this comedy with Thomas Nash, and for this work he was imprisoned, then he was released too. And the work, The Everyman in his Humour, this work brought best fame in his career. So he has written sequel for this too. Let's see later in our video. Then The Cave in Pgtrb, this is the book which he has written. Then again he was arrested and imprisoned for killing a fellow actor in 1598. Then he just released the sequel to Everyman in his Humour, that is called Everyman Out of His Humour. Then he wrote Cynthia's Revolts, then The Poetaster, then Jane's A Tragedy. Then he wrote some other books too. In between of that, he was again imprisoned for the collaboration in the comedy Eastward Who. Actually, Eastward also a collaborative work which he has written along with George Chapman and John Marston. Actually, it involved in dramatic war. Actually, there was a war between the writers by their writing, in which they just attacked the work which was published in 1604, that is called Westward Who, which was written by Thomas Dekker and John Webster. It is a satire and comedy. On attacking that, they have written the work Eastward Who, which was published in 1605. For this, Ben Jonson was arrested once again, because which offends Scots, that is why he was arrested, along with his collaborative writers. Then he wrote Walbone, that was the greatest success in his career. Then he wrote The Silent Women and The Alchemist. This Alchemist is different from Paulo Coelho's Alchemist. The both work just had same name, The Alchemist, The Alchemist. Here The Alchemist, Ben Jonson has written as a comedy, and Catalina, Bartholomew Fair, these are the books he has written, and his collections of works were published as a collections. This is the first in the English career. It has been published as a book. It is first in printing industry too. One of the best incident happened in Jacobean era. That is what publication of the collaborative works along with his personal work as a collection. The works of Benjamin Jonson. It is first in English printing. Then he published The Tale of a Tub, that is his last work, which was written in 1637. In 1638 he was died, and he was buried in Westminster Abbey, that is the place where poetess, court poetess and dramatist would be buried, and where we can see the epitaph, "O rare Ben Jonson." This is the life of Ben Jonson. Our father of English comedy, Ben Jonson, has introduced another term in English literature, that is called comedy of humor. Actually, he has collaboration with the University of Wits, and he has brought so many works along with them. And this is a genre which he just brought to English language along with the University with George Chapman. Along with him, he brought this genre into the English literature. According to this genre, actually, every human being has 4 types of bodily fluids that just prominently plays the role in their character, which has been told by Hippocrates. Is a doctor. It was brought into the literature. When they make characters, they just make according to this 4 type of the fluid, then it brings humors in the drama. Let's see what are the 4 fluids are. They are blood, yellow bile, black bile, phlegm. These are the 4 type of bodily fluids. When it just goes up, that character will go to the a certain extreme of that character. So let's see that what are the fluids make some characters. If the bodily fluid blood goes up, that person will become as sanguine. Sanguine is the person who just seeks pleasure. And the second one, phlegm. When the bodily fluid phlegm goes up, that person will become phlegmatic. That means he doesn't respond to anything else. He will be in calm manner. Then the bodily fluid, yellow bile went up, he will become choleric. That means he will get irritated and will be getting anger. And when the bodily fluid, black bile goes up, he will be melancholic. That means he would be sorrowful. These are the 4 bodily fluid that brings out the character in the drama as well as in the body. So this concept has been used here and it brought comedy of humor. Then it was developed in Restoration period as comedy of manner. That was also an genre which just shows and questions upon the manners and social conventions. Let's see the summary of the work. In the prologue, the speaker announces that the play was written due to the popularity of the theatre. The goal of playwrights is to please the audience. This play, the prologue continues, will not take the audience to a place far away, but will show a current time and place that will make people laugh. The opening scene finds old Neville, an old man and father of Edward Neville, at his house. He tells Brian Worm, who is his servant, to fetch his son Edward Neville. The father is happy that Edward is a scholar, as he himself announced once was, but he does not approve of his son's taste for fruitless art called writing poetries. Master Stephen, an easily dubbed countryman who is nephew of old Neville, he arrives to visit relatives. Neville gives him advice on how to be a better man. Shortly thereafter, Stephen departs from his home. A servant then gives Neville a letter made for Edward. When he reads it, he realizes it is not for him and takes offense at the impolite, informal tone of the letter. The letter was written by Wellbridge. Now, Neville decides to give the letter to his son and to encourage him, but not to force him to try to be a good man. The next scene of Act 1 finds Edward receiving the letter and learning that his father has read it from Brian Worm. Actually, Earl Neville insisted Brian Worm not to tell the truth about his reading the letter to Edward, but he reveals it to Edward. Stephen enters and asks about the man who delivered the letter, who is now long gone. Stephen and Edward, who are cousins, talk and then go to the city to meet the man who sent the letter, whose name is Wellbridge. He is close friend of Edward. The scene 3 introduces the characters Matthew and Cobb at the latter's house. Cobb was a water bearer who talks about respectful ancestors, and Matthew asks about the locating a man named Captain Barbadil, whom Cobb says is his guest. Matthew does not believe this. Cobb tells him the man slept on his bench the previous night. Cobb ends the scene with a monologue that tells of the drama in his house and of Barbadil owing him money. The scene 4, the final scene of the Act 1, just starts now. unfolds in Cobb's house where Barbadil lies on the bench. Matthew and Barbadil talk, and Matthew agrees not to mention that Barbadil spent the night there. Matthew shares a new play which they discuss before leaving for a tavern. It is Spanish tragedy. That play is Spanish tragedy. Act 2 opens in another part of the city. Netley, a merchant, enters along with his cashier called Cash, and Netley's brother-in-law, Downright, who is a squire, who lives along with him. Netley tells the squire that Wellbred, his brother, has been disrespectful to him. Wellbred is angered. We could remember here, Wellbred is the person who sent letters to Edward, and he has called Edward to spend some time along with him. Now, let's see about Wellbred. Wellbred is angered, and Barbadil and Matthew look for but do not find Wellbred. Next, in the Moonfield of London, Brimham is disguised as a soldier. Edward and Stephen arrived here. He wasn't to stop Novel's pursuit of his son. He was sent by old Novel to find how Edward reacts in the Moorfield. Stephen and Novel enter. Stephen has lost a purse containing a ring from his mistress. Next, as the act continues, Novel delivers a monologue about his youth and the way parents often influence their children in negative ways, and he himself just gives a back warming that he is happy that he has not been a bad influence on his son, although he believes his son has gone down to the wrong path. In Act 3, Matthew, Barbadil, and Wellbred are in tavern. Tavern means inn. While Matthew and Barbadil talks of disliking Wellbred's brother Downright. Edward and Stephen arrive. Wellbred, it turns out, is the one who wrote the letter to Edward. They go on to discuss Stephen and Barbadil's military experience. Cash and Netley are engaged in a shady exchange of money. Netley spends cash on another job and asks to be informed if Wellbred or anyone else comes to his house. An upset Cobb enters and Cash tells him it is Humour that is making him feel distressed. The next scene is at Justice Calaman's house. Cobb tells Netley that some men have arrived at his house, and Netley worries about his wife and sister giving into their desires. Cobb attempts to put his mind at ease. Cobb also wants revenge, as Barbadil has used his wife. Justice Calamant and Roger, his clerk, arrive. Cobb asks the justice to punish Barbadil, but Justice orders Cobb jailed for his character and previous action. Further complications and interactions continues to drive the story until the final act, which takes place at home of Justice Clement, Novel, Netley, Dame Netley, Cash, Cobb, and some servants enter. They are trying to shift through the sequence of false messages they have received. Barbadil and Matthew join the group and announce they have a warrant for Downright. Stephen, Downright, and Brimham, who is in disguise, also arrive. Clement wants Brimham jailed for not serving warrants in the right way. Brimham reveals himself and his deceitful action are exposed. In attempting to bring closer to everything, Justice Clement instructs every person to rid themselves of emotions that are weighing them down, and they start to celebrate. This is how the story ends, with a happy mood. Thank you for watching this. Kindly do subscribe.